Hey everybody, we are rolling right in. Let's talk about Rising Zen first before we get into the... We're going to watch the Sutte Hakkun world record, which we have not done yet. It deserves a watch. We have time to watch it now because we were going to host a race if players were up for it. They've been hitting this game so hard that it sounds like they're completely wiped, like physically on it.
Yeah. It sounds like it's been an exhausting process too. They're constantly coming up with new things.
Yeah, it's not a long run now, but it's the kind of run I think where you have to punch a buttons galore just constantly. It's probably real tedious to run for too many times, 1,000 times in a row.
It seems like a really demanding game too. Very small mistakes can cause you to have to start the whole thing over. So
yeah, it wasn't too long ago that we watched what wasn't even the current world record because it had already changed, and then the week before that we did a race. The world record for this was 47 minutes, I think, and it ain't that now. It's not even close. They knocked 3 or 4 minutes off of the world record that we watched last week. They crushed it. I'm thinking that they were saying that they could get under 35 minutes, and I see that they already have.
Yeah.
I think they're getting close.
And I think it'll probably keep going from there a little bit more. I mean, we still have a week left, so...
Yeah, 6 days, 3 hours. That's going to be tough to compete with at this point. That's really good.
Sutte Hakkun... You're coming in fresh. I mean, you'll certainly have the benefit of all the information they've already found, though, so...
Yeah,
it's certainly not too late to get in on it if you've got, 6 days of free time.
There's no doubt about it that they're using strats that the world record holder did not know about. There's just no way that they wouldn't have used these kind of moves if they had worked it out. They didn't have people running at it with them, I don't think. So it's just the advantage of a community project and really sitting down for a long period of time and investigating everything about this game. So crush that. Also, in other news, I saw you watched it already, right? The Kusa Grande, Keith Courage. Mm-hmm. How's that? How was that?
Yesterday's leading match was Keith Courage, and 2 out of the 4 racers got to the very last level. I think I didn't watch the whole match, but I kind of went back and skimmed through the VOD, and it looks like I don't know if they got to the boss, but it certainly would have walled them in the hour time limit. But still, getting to the final boss is pretty impressive.
The final boss is really hard. I think it took me an hour and some change to beat the first time, and the final boss was a big part of it. But if you know about the tricks, you can freeze them in place. That helped speedrun tremendously, I think.
Sure.
Not having to deal with that boy, he ain't friendly at all, and I can see him shutting down anybody.
I mean, I'm surprised they made it past what was it, the card boss, the one that just like bum rushes you constantly, taking out all your health.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, there were some bosses that I'm surprised people got past. So
I'm loading up this play for us here.
Yeah, so we're going to be watching Moonberry's world record for Sutte Hakkun. I believe the current world record is 23:19 for beat 50 stages.
That sounds right.
Yeah, at the time of around this time last month when we did the race, a world record tied world record was set during that race between Darkman and Moonberry. But since then, the time came down slightly, so.
I'm loading it up here. It's fun to go back and check out games that are done, see how they came along. This is currently the one that's up on speedrun.com.
Right.
And this is Moonberry 2.
Yeah, 34-38. Rising Zan's come a long, long way.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you're not running the games, you may want to keep an eye on the Speed Bump channel. It's kind of fascinating to watch all the new things they're discovered and everyone getting all excited about them. So it is really worth checking out.
Yeah, I got this for us. I'm ready to start. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
This is 50 stages cleared in a very short amount of time. This is the current world record for that, which is half of the game. It is what we decided to do with this one.
I think it turned out to be the right length too. Ending up with even a short run like this, I think we were a little on edge when it came to this game, unsure whether or not it was going to be best to try to do the whole thing, or if it was going to need something shorter, and I think this turned out to be a really nice bite-sized speedrun.
Yeah. A game
Really
like this,
demanding, though.
we have a lot of places where we could call it, and 100% isn't always necessary for something like this.
Right.
I think 50% gave us more flexibility on routing. There's a lot of fun in just figuring out where to start and end your what levels to skip. That's the first thing that they decided on. Like that's like, I know that's going to be the first week or so. They're going to be looking at levels and seeing which ones are absolutely unquestionably the worst ones to do, and just not ever do those, no matter what.
Yeah, I think categories where you don't have to play the whole game do allow you a lot of fun and flexibility in figuring out what you can skip.
Seeing a lot of I have the clock. I can show it to you briefly here. I'm not gonna keep it on screen, but I do have the clock up here on their screen. You can see a lot of green and yellow. There's 1.1 second loss, and the rest is 0.8 saved. That's yellow. 0.6, 0.7. This is a really good run for Moonbear. They really got a lot going on this one, and I still have to pay the reward for this one. And
it just goes to show how optimized this got as well. I mean, with a run where every single stage is half a second off of previous PB.
Speaking of rewards, that is pretty much entirely paid for by my Patreon and my subs. So I have not read off those subs today. I hardly ever do on Arcade Bit because so many come in, and I really appreciate it. I saw Mike give 5 gift subs. I really appreciate that help. Thanks a lot, everybody. If I don't call them out, that doesn't mean I don't appreciate them. I really do. Thanks a lot. Keeping my stuff running, and this show too. I think the prize is a motivator. I don't think it's the only thing going on here, but I think it helps. How does this one work? Oh yeah, you just use the diagonal. I love the diagonal block. I feel like that's a way better than the other two if you can pull it off.
Surprisingly broken. This is a Super Famicom game, Super Nintendo.
So it's a little localization issue you'll have to fix, but other than that, it will run on the SNES kind of hardware.
Yeah, this is last month's speed bump. We've kind of reconfigured our schedule, and a part of that is rather than ending every month with watching the world record, we end every month with announcing the new game, which means we find time over the course of the next month to watch the new world record. And this week, plans fell through. The race that we were going to do, our racers were kind of exhausted from running Rising Zan, so we opted that instead of doing a race today, we would go back and actually watch the world record for Sutte Hakkun.
Yeah, we got plenty of time so the racing depends on other players, and if we don't have them, then our backup solution will be, is there any progress made on any of the games we've done in the past? Because I have a big old list of them here. Sutte Hakkun's got a world record we never saw. And if somebody does Keith Courage, I'll load it up again. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to do it. Diagonal block strategies here.
Diagonal block's just broken.
Oh my. You just see the strafe. That jump ruled.
That's incredible.
The backwards grab and fall. I'm actually seeing a lot of red on the timer for the World 2 here, which says to me that there's still room for improvement on this. Losing like 5 seconds at the 2-3. Gained a lot back on that stage with the backwards hop. That was done in a good way, it looked like, but man. It looks like there's some red on this now.
I apologize for misremembering their name, but we didn't really get a chance to talk about it much because it happened mostly at the end of the month, but the person who picked up work on the task for this game actually sort of discovered what we were up to and joined the Speed Bump channel and was offering a lot of insight and information about improving the record. And I think that played a big role in motivating the players for the last big push. I don't know how much they actually had to take those plans, or how much they actually used their strats, but it was kind of interesting that they got involved.
Was that Cellus? Celius?
I don't remember their name.
I don't remember.
I'd have to
Sutte
scroll
Hakkun's.
back through the chat in order to find it.
There's a lot of conversation that happens in Speed Bump. I don't catch all of it. I get the gist of some of it. I've been watching Rising Sands pretty closely. That's my game, and I've been looking at how that's coming along. And there's a lot of individual stage timing going on. They definitely break it up that way. Just do a whole level, see what their PB is, and the sum of best is what they're calling on the clock. This is a speedrunner term for what your clock says the best you could possibly do with all of your current times. Right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, some of best seconds.
So they're using that to measure that they still have a little bit of room for improvement on Rising Sand. The best times they've ever gotten on each level add up to this, and what that is currently is 40 or 50 seconds faster than what is currently the world record, it seems like.
I found it. The guy's name was Aaron Jagger.
I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the most fun aspects of Speed Bump for me personally is every month the Speed Bump channel turns into a little community Discord for the speedrunning scene for that game.
Yeah, we had it for Skulljagger, right? And we had it for...
Yeah.
I don't remember if Keith Courage had it.
We were sharing some information, but I think the Keith Courage was our trial run, so
A death has happened.
just one little baby death.
This run is really good.
As always, switching to yellow because that's the broken color.
Yeah, seems like it. I'm surprised that it's not good here. Not faster than messing around with these cubes. To bring it on up. There it is.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons, some of best may not be an accurate measurement of anything, but it is sometimes interesting to see what your splits seem to think your best possible time would be.
Yeah. I think it's not perfect, but if it's way off of what your current time is, then it probably is an indicator that you're not on a good run.
It can be a little bit fickle for things like perhaps RPGs where you might do an action in one split sometimes or do an action in another split sometimes, and so your sum of best may be grossly inaccurate in those cases. But
yeah, I think a lot of speedrunning depends on the game. There's some big differences between a game that has RNG in it and not. For one, I know that because one of the games I did run was Rogue Legacy, and it's extremely luck dependent. So a good run could be anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes. It just depends on if you find the lucky thing. It doesn't even matter how well you do, because if you don't find it, you lose. That's all there is to it.
right.
You're not going to beat your record if you can't find the goal, because the goal just didn't show up for you. So things like that. I imagine Metroid kind of games depend on like item drops and stuff that you really can't control very much. You can only optimize your chances.
Sure.
I think Rising Sand
Right through these levels.
Yeah, this game I don't feel like has any randomness at all, really. What could it have? Just really tough jumps and that's it. This is a very straightforward one, I think. Except for figuring out the route. But a game like Rising Sand, I feel like does have randomness in it, in the form of enemy AI and what they decide to do against you. As a big one. If they decide to block too much, I think that's a problem sometimes. This level is really tedious looking.
And it really just does not look like there's any way to make it better.
Yeah. I saw that they skipped 2 steps there, and that seemed like that was the best you could do, was just not do...
Imagine how bad all the other stages must have been if that stage stayed in.
But we will be figuring out what our next game is next week, folks, so prepare. If you're interested in running one, you'll get a fresh start on Sunday here. 6 days to go. Author Blues pick. I'm We working on that, right? We're still looking.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Got plenty of time.
Haven't
We got a
settled
lot
on
of
anything
choices.
yet.
No hints. Never any free information at all. Not even the genre. What's this going on here? Can just barely reach it. One of the things I appreciate in this game is that you can hold your beak out and get it on the very first frame possible every time. Sometimes that makes the jump possible. And it makes it a lot easier to do some of this. Some of these jumps are crazy hard, precise things that I see that the record runners mess up a little bit too, but most of it, you have a lot of control. That right there, you have to grab the block while you're falling. That's a good example of something that's tough. It's just, you have to really quickly fall through and then mid-jump, grab that block.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was Darkman who posted a lot of images as resources in the Speed Bump channel showing setups for some of these tricks. It was really interesting to see that it wasn't just about improving the time, but also producing some useful resources for making the run possible.
The thing that happens in this game, if you, I'll explain it. If you try to inject color into the block to make it do something, and you miss, you throw the color away, which could be an enormous problem. But if you're holding your beak out like that, it won't happen. You can just guarantee it will be in the same place. And there, they did it on purpose, I think. Get rid of that red. Four, three. Because they're skipping some stages, I'm not sure exactly how many they have done, but it's in the neighborhood of 40 now. What's going to happen when they do all 50 of them in this stage is it will unlock the last couple levels, and that's how we know that they hit it.
Yeah, it gives you a nice bit of feedback to know that you've completed the category as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about this challenge. I wouldn't have liked it as much if there wasn't a clear ending to it. If it was just, yeah, that's 50, and you just figure out by counting how many you've done.
Yeah, you have to go back and count them all. That would have sucked.
The game is tracking in the form of in some puzzle games where your level count is how you know how many you've beaten. So you unlock them and then you're done. Skipping 4-6, 4-7. 12 seconds saved on 4-5, it looks like.
We don't even talk about 4-6.
I wonder what happened on 4-5 that saved 12 seconds. There's just some enormous ups on this time, on this run, according to this graph here, according to the clock.
That's still so cool. The clips through the ceiling are really awesome.
That's a 9-second down still.
I think this was one of the things that made this an obvious choice for me for the game. I think puzzle games like this are fun to optimize, but the fact that I was already aware of one task that existed for this game, even if it was only partially complete, and then it turned out there was actually another more thorough task for this game, I think it worked out really well, because even if no one had run this version of it, having a task gives you really something to look at and base things off of.
I wonder what the intended solution is. It kind of looks like it is. Jeez.
Yeah, that's the solution.
You have to drag blocks through while you're falling on design. It seems like there's a lot of this in the end game. I'd have a really hard time figuring out these puzzles at this point. Diagonal time. I really do feel like if yellow's an option, then the other colors hardly ever even exist.
Yeah, I don't know what it is that makes yellow so completely broken in this game, but it really is.
I think here is finally a cause for blue to be useful, is when you have to go straight across a tunnel. That's almost the only situation where yellow is worse. I'm looking for the big time saves, and I've seen a couple. That last one was about 2 seconds saved. There's some ups and downs on this, but ultimately they do save about 40 seconds overall on their PB for this run.
I would expect, as with any game that you haven't optimized for years, it probably comes down to there were a few costly deaths and you just remove those from the run.
How's this one gonna work? Alright. I have a hard time figuring out the answer without knowing it in advance. 5-2.
So we're at 37 levels complete, 13 still to go.
It looks like it's a lot of World 5 here.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, World 5 was definitely the one that was disproportionately skipped.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think World 6 was a much more lenient place. Somehow. I think the thing with puzzle games like this is that they get into a theme for each world, and sometimes it's way harder than others. Whatever the theme is. And this one is spikes, and those little dummies up there that do different things than the blocks do are big here.
Right.
I think a lot of the hard jumps come into play on this because of the spikes.
This game's really cool about how much it actually does with the tools it has. I mean, the only real mechanic here is being able to put paint in things. There's still a lot of really clever puzzles, though. This is another one of those levels that I don't know how bad other stages had to be for this one to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I mean, I just remember solving this one casually, and it was so tedious.
You have to push a mimic around.
Yeah, you need a mimic to go in the hole because you can't place an actual block low enough. So you need the mimic because he has gravity.
What a pain. And he visually is a really good, clever mimic. It's not like you can look at his chain and figure out that he's a fake box or something. He looks exactly like the real ones. So you just have to know. And it's certainly for a speedrun you're gonna have that down, but for trying to solve it on your first time, it looks so obnoxious. That puzzle looked really bad.
Yeah, it does have a real Mario and Wario aesthetic. That's a good point. I love Mario and Wario.
I never played that one.
It's real good. You should play it sometime on stream. It's a SNES mouse game. A puzzle game.
A mouse game.
Yeah, a game using the SNES mouse.
It's been a while since I played one of those.
Well, it emulates great.
There's a lot of World 5 in here for as much trouble as it causes.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going from 5-6 to 5-9 after this. Oh! Nice. Forget that level.
That's such a cool mechanic. Not mechanic, trick, but
Just
it's so impressive how consistent they got at it.
zipping through. Here you gotta pay real close attention to the arrows to see what's gonna happen. This reminds me of annoying puzzles in Mario Maker. That's the only time I've dealt with this kind of thing, is when they are going overboard with the up and down path things. Ultimately, it's not a long level though.
You're a big fan of the Mario Maker one-way gates?
No. Those last two levels, 18 seconds saved it looks like, between the two of them. Something really bad happened on those two levels that didn't happen this time.
So I don't know that I ever actually watched this world record either, but I know that a lot of tech was found in the last few worlds, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm interested in seeing if we're going to see a lot more of that clipping going on.
That's powerful stuff. Here we gotta set up the diagonal and then get on the block too. That's one of the tough things to figure out on this puzzle kind of stuff, is how exactly to do all this. That right there is a really hard jump, I understand.
Yeah, that's really tight. The hard part is that you have to get to the right position on the block, but lining it up with the visual cue is probably a nightmare with the fact that the block is moving. It'd be interested in knowing why that that clipping method, where you use the red block to like clip up through a ceiling. I wonder why that isn't useful more places, but I'm sure there's a good reason why.
Yeah, maybe the shape of the ceiling is required for that to even work.
Probably have to have a specific setup.
We are currently saving 28 seconds on the whole run from the last PB this person did. They're probably pretty happy with it at this point. Is it stressful for you when you have a run like this going? I imagine
Like
it
good
is.
quality run? Yeah.
I've only experienced a little bit of the getting a run like this going and then making a mistake right at the end to blow the whole thing when you're 30 seconds down and then you're 30 seconds up at the end. There's a lot of pressure.
I feel like that's one of the things that sets apart good speedrunners from normal speedrunners, is that just not having those nerves really destroy a good run. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I've been on some, you know, good pace for a speed game, and I just like, wow, I hope I don't blow it right now, and then you blow it right now.
The ticket is to not care.
Yeah, that's hard though, because the problem is that when you're 40 seconds ahead on a run, you don't want to say, okay, well, I now can make 40 seconds worth of mistakes. You want to keep all those 40 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
What happened on 6-3? Moonberry's in the chat. Maybe you can tell me why that was worth 28 seconds all told. What did you do that saved that much time? That is a huge chunk of this world record. That PB was crushed by that level. That is where half of the time saved came from, it looks like. Saving time on the whole run so far, but that is where it went from negative 28 to negative 56. I see that level as being a huge one. Something changed. Late game deaths.
I'll tell you, it speaks a lot to probably how difficult this game is to execute at the end of it. If this run, as good as it is, stayed world record with a death in it, that really just goes to show how challenging it must be to actually execute a run of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and
you can probably tell.
After this run's over, I'm gonna go back and check out 6-3 again, because that's the one. That seems like the big change here. And we're getting real close here. There's only 40 more seconds left in this run. We are nearly done. First try, no safety save on 6-3. So there's a safety mechanic.
Yeah, you can save midway through the level and restore from that save point. The pause menu has a save option in it.
Let's find it.
Oh, you're looking for the pause menu?
I'm looking for 6-3. This is the stage I wanted to watch again because
Gotcha.
it got smoked. Something happened here that was just incredible. We were at negative 28 when we came in here, and we're at negative 56 when we leave. So is this just new tech? It's not the kind of level you could die in.
Oh, kept missing a block and having to restart.
I see.
So the previous run probably just restarted a few times to set something up correctly.
Yeah, that looks tight. It looks like there's a lot of diagonal trickery going on. Well, that was a key level improvement for at least Moonbear here. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's one of those things too, where it's at the end of the run. One of the hard things to do, maybe, and you hate to see it. You hate to see it happen, but you know it's coming, and you gotta mentally prepare for some hurdle at the end. It's way better for you if that kind of stuff is early on. That's not always the case, though. Well, that's Sutte Hakkun. Congratulations, Moonberry. I still pretty sure I haven't paid you for this yet, so congratulations on winning this. I'm gonna get that to you. I promise. I gotta organize, but I'll do that. What do you think, Off the Blues? How do you like your game ultimately?
I thought it was great. I picked this game because I had been thinking about it for a long time, about running it myself, and I think it went way better than I could have expected. I probably wouldn't have put in as much effort as they did. So Better them than me. I would not have done this game honor.
Well, that's what we have for you today, folks. Rise and Zan is still open. It sounds like. So this is between Finn and the name is escaping me right now, but I know him.
Genie.
That's right. Gene is an old time viewer of mine, and they've always been a really strong contender. So it doesn't surprise me that they're also very good at speedrunning. They're always winning my tournaments and stuff. Those two are going back and forth on the world record for this, and they are working the hell out of this game in ways that no one ever has. I'm sure nobody has ever investigated Rising Zan the way they are. So I think that the former world record holder might be interested in watching all of the new tech because there's a lot.
I will say, despite what you said earlier, if you want to get in on this, I don't think it's too late to maybe not get the world record, but get a really respectable run. You got to remember that coming in at the end of the month, they've already done all the research for you, so you can just jump in and learn how to play the game.
I would recommend it for a couple of reasons. That you could still be a contender, but also because this game is great. I love this game. One of the problems with it is that it's really hard, but if they're beating it in 34 minutes, that is a really fast, easy speed run. Then, if you can beat a game that fast, it really isn't that big of a problem to go speed run. It's not like you're doing some 4-hour campaign. You can knock a 35-minute speed run out for fun every once in a while. If I were able to beat it that fast, I'd be doing daily runs.
Well, there you go.
This game is
maybe
fun.
You can learn to do it in 34 minutes, and you can do daily runs.
That would be awesome. I mean, if a game is that fast to run, that's definitely my style. That's I liked Link to the Past, but that's a 90-minute commitment. It's exhausting after a while, but 30 minutes, that doesn't feel like anything.
Sure.
And that's and the tech that they know, and they know how to do the fights and stuff. So all of the difficulty in the game, they can show you how to solve a lot of it. I'm sure there are some hard mechanics still. It's a tough game, but it's a tough game with bad checkpoints. But they can show you just by watching the video and talking in the Speed Bump channel how to minimize all of that and get this thing under control, and then you can enjoy Rising Zan without the problems. So the camera is bad, awesome. For sure, and Rising Zan, I know it is. It's a big problem.
Well, that's the part that you have to defeat.
Yeah, that's one of your big enemies for sure in Rising Zan. I know it is. I knew it was coming in. A dual stick game that doesn't know how to use dual sticks for cameras yet. That's new tech. They don't have it yet. They don't know how to copy Mario 64's camera idea. Not that one's great either, but it's a start. You could at least get it to look at the right thing if you press the button. You don't even have that in Rising Zan.
Right.
Well, that's all we got for you today. Unless you got something else off the blues.
No, I'm good.
We'll see you next week with our next game and official announcements on Rising Zan, which appears to be in the 34-minute area. I don't know how much more time they're going to knock off of that before then, but I think they're still trying. It looks like there's still activity working on it. And we'll have a new game for you, yeah, for sure. Next Sunday, 9:30 roughly. Hey, see you then.
See ya.